Political tension within Poland remains high over the issue of the SAFE programme, which would see Poland take out its largest loan in history to invest in the military. Donald Tusk and his government coalition are enthusiastically trying to implement the idea, although President Nawrocki, who is aligned with the government's opposition, is hesitant. Nawrocki's hesitancy is due to a few factors, including the fact that the list of recipients of the money is being hidden, as well as the fact that the EU would have the legal right to freeze the money Poland borrowed if it were to judge that Poland was going against broadly conceived European values. Now, in the midst of all this, Sweden has just announced it won't be borrowing any money under the SAFE programme. Sweden is withdrawing from the SAFE programme. The reason, quite simply, this loan is not worthwhile. In an interview with Rzeczpospolita, the Swedish Minister of Defence, Pål Jonson, explained the reasoning behind this decision. We are not participating in this programme not because it is bad, but because, with the third lowest debt in the European Union, we can borrow on international markets on terms more favourable than the EU itself. But we are also borrowing for the modernisation of our armed forces, €30 billion by 2035. However, Poland cannot count on such attractive credit terms, which is why Prime Minister Tusk and his government, along with all Polish media favourable to it, are trying to convince Polish citizens to support taking out the largest loan in Polish history. SAFE is a big deal. There is €150 billion at stake. Poland is set to borrow almost a third of that amount, totalling over €40 billion. Should the loan go through, lobbyists and pundits who promoted the programme to the public would profit generously.
W przypadku takich kontraktów wartość budżetu.
In the case of such contracts, the budget for lobbyists for the entire process leading to the conclusion of the contract is between 2 and 5%. This means several billion zloty, maybe even a dozen or so, will go to all the people, the media, experts, specialists, generals and retired generals. It's expensive because the work is thankless and difficult. Poles remember how, in 2023, the money from the EU's post-COVID recovery fund that was supposed to go to Poland was frozen until Poland's right-wing government was replaced by one more friendly to the EU, led by Donald Tusk. Thus, naturally, Polish public opinion views the idea of borrowing massive sums from the EU with a high degree of skepticism. An SW research poll for Rzeczpospolita shows that over 38% of Poles fear that this programme actually serves German rather than Polish interests. It also turns out that young people are the most sceptical about who will benefit from the loan. As many as 43% of Poles aged 25 to 34 and 42% of those aged 35 to 49.
To oznacza, że jest potężny problem.
This means that there is a huge problem for Donald Tusk's government. Poles see that there are many doubts surrounding the programme which may be crucial in a situation where Russia is waging a war of aggression just beyond our eastern border. And instead of strengthening our security, this type of programme may lead to a situation in which decision makers in Berlin and Paris can blackmail us financially with zero recourse. However, despite the concerns of Poles, on February the 19th, the Senate, controlled by Tusk's coalition, passed the bill implementing the SAFE programme with only 3 cosmetic amendments. Now the bill will go back to the Parliament and then the desk of President Karol Nawrocki. And this is where Tusk's mouthpieces turn up their verbal pressure to 11. What would President Nawrocki, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, do? There are no shades of grey here. Either he signs a bill for Poland's security or he commits treason. All those who want to block this programme, who want to protest, are acting against Poland's interests, against the most important issue, which is the security of Poland and the entire continent. So stop it. President, sign it. There is no need to delay and discuss. Where does this pressure come from? It may not only be about passing the bill, but above all about shifting responsibility for future ill consequences of the SAFE loan onto President Nawrocki. The ruling coalition really wants the president to sign the SAFE bill, realising that some really unpleasant things may happen, and wants Nawrocki to share at least some of the responsibility, including those related to corruption. Opposition politicians have just submitted a request to the Central Anti-Corruption Bureau demanding clarification of doubts surrounding €2 billion, which, according to the media, are to be transferred to the account of Polska Amunicja, a company headed by Paweł Ponsiliusz from the Civic Coalition, Tusk's own party, after the implementation of the SAFE programme. It is a Polish loan from Polish taxpayers' money which will be repaid by us, our children and our grandchildren. And even before the official list is even announced, we have already found irregularities. Tusk, however, remains outwardly adamant that Polish citizens should support SAFE.
Jesteśmy w Stalowej Woli. o której
We're in
było tak
Stalowa
głośno,
Wola, which has been in the news a lot recently. Party members were brought here. They raised a hue and cry protesting against the large sums of money that are to go to this steelworks, as well as to other arms industry plants in Poland. The outcry is that the money is going to the Germans. I will try to explain this as simply as I can. Watch my lips. 20 billion just for this steelworks. Stalowa Wola, Podkarpacia, Poland. Got it, thickheads? All the while, the doubts about the SAFE programme remain. The bill will likely find itself on President Nawrocki's desk in the coming days. What will happen after that? One may only speculate.